My dear friend, there are long nights when the burdens of the day still seem to linger somewhere in the mind, that we long for something very simple, a sense of peace, a feeling of lightness. People often lose their calm, you know. They lose the composure that is naturally theirs, because they have never truly trained their minds to hold the line, to remain steadfast when faced with pressure. Many still believe, mistakenly, that peace can only be found in the absolute stillness of space, in those moments free from noise, free from disturbance. But, my dear friend, true calm often shows up most clearly, most powerfully, precisely in moments of conflict, in times of trial. The secret isn't in trying to avoid difficult people, or in running away from unwelcome situations. Because you see, this life is an unceasing flow of interactions, of collisions. The real secret lies in mastering yourself so deeply that no one, nothing, can shake your inner stillness. This stillness, once you have touched it and nurtured it, will become your invisible yet immense power. It sharpens the decisions you make, protects your precious energy from unnecessary depletion, and, by its very nature, commands a special respect from those around you. Once you learn how to build this steadfast fortress within your soul, then no one, not even those you deal with daily, can steal it from you. And right now, in this very moment, I want to explore with you how to stay calm, centered, and unshakable, no matter who challenges you, no matter what circumstances unfold around you. Remember, your calm is your real power. Many believe that in every debate, in every confrontation, the loudest, most aggressive voice will be the victor. But take another look. The man or the woman who remains composed, self-possessed, while others are losing their heads, shouting, panicking. That person is the one who commands the room. That person is the one who draws all eyes, not with noise, but with steadfastness. Calmness is not weakness. Absolutely not. Calmness is command. It is mastery. You've seen it, haven't you? In tense boardrooms where figures dance and opposing opinions clash, the air thick with tension, or across dinner tables, seemingly intimate, yet sometimes not immune to sharp exchanges, in moments when someone's temper flares like a fire, ready to consume everything around, and the man, the woman, who doesn't flinch, who doesn't change expression. That person, in that instant, becomes an anchor, a steady point towards which everyone instinctively leans. Your nervous system can be trained. Yes, you heard correctly, it can be trained. Just as our muscles grow stronger, firmer under the pressure of exercise, your composure grows, becomes more resilient under the friction of challenges, of life's encounters. But this only happens if and only if you allow it, if you actively choose to train it. Perhaps in the past, you have unintentionally or intentionally allowed others' moods to shape your own. Their urgency, their haste became your panic. Their anxieties spread to you, making you feel uneasy too. But my friend, it doesn't have to be this way anymore. From this moment forward, you have the power to choose differently. To remain calm, it's essential that you learn to detach your sense of self from external events. A disagreement in opinion does not define you as a person. A harsh word, a rude tone, has no power to threaten or diminish your worth. You must anchor your identity, your true self, in higher purposes, in the core values you believe in, not in fleeting emotions that come and go. When you can do that, you will be able to respond consciously, rather than merely reacting instinctively, impulsively. And then, your calm will become a deliberate decision, a conscious choice, no longer an erratic mood dependent on external circumstances. Imagine, you are in an incredibly heated meeting. Voices are rising, accusations, criticisms fly through the air. All eyes are on you, waiting for a reaction, for leadership. In that situation, you don't shout. You don't rush to defend yourself weakly. Instead, you speak slowly, clearly, word by word. And most importantly, you listen carefully before you speak. Suddenly, you will realize the chaos seems to lose its grip, because your stillness, your composure, has disrupted the swirling storm of emotions. Your steadfastness is like a large rock, stemming the fierce current of turmoil. Can you recall a moment in the past when you lost your cool and later regretted it deeply? Surely we have all experienced such moments. So, what would have happened if, in that very moment, you had paused, just for a moment? What if you had chosen silence instead of sarcastic remarks or angry retorts? Would the outcome of that situation have been better? I believe in most cases, the answer would be yes. Most people, when entering an interaction, a dialogue, often carry with them a readiness to defend, a readiness to fight. They are like warriors, weapons at the ready, waiting for a signal to charge into battle. But you? You will walk in ready to lead. You will lead, not with force, not with imposition, but with the steadiness, the unwavering firmness from within. And then, very naturally, you will become more attractive in the eyes of others. You will earn respect. You will gain trust. That is the beginning of true power. That is the beginning of the legacy of calm that you are building, for yourself and for those around you. Calmness is not a natural talent that everyone possesses. It is the result of intentional training. You weren't born patient. None of us were born with that virtue. We were born crying, reacting instinctively, demanding immediate attention and gratification. But you can be trained. You can reshape your habits, your reflexes. You can learn to slow down your reactions. Learn to pause for a beat, take a deep breath before you say anything. Learn to observe all events, all people, without rushing to judgment. And that training, my friend, can begin today, right from this moment. The truth is, most people don't really want to train their calm. They want to blame their temper. They often say, "I just have a short fuse," or "That's just how I am, I can't change." But did you know, a short fuse can absolutely be lengthened, and you lengthen it with discipline, with self-awareness. Start by observing your own reaction patterns. Who is it that most easily makes you lose your temper? What words, what actions usually trigger your anger? Is it their tone, or is it a perceived lack of respect? Pay attention, observe carefully. Then, plan. Rehearse your responses beforehand, even if the situation hasn't occurred yet. Prepare, not just with words, but with your posture, with your breath, with the intention from deep within. Picture this. You walk into a room and someone insults you, directly, openly. Everyone around falls silent, waiting for your reaction. They expect a fiery retort, a dramatic argument. But instead of reacting angrily, you smile gently. You say nothing. You channel all your energy into stillness, into the steadfastness within. The offender in that moment suddenly looks small, foolish. And you look unshaken, unmoved. Have you ever met someone who seemed untouchable, who couldn't be riled? Someone past whom all negative words and actions seemed to slide, leaving no trace? That person surely has trained a great deal to achieve that steadfastness. And you, too, can train to become such a person. Ask yourself, do you want to be calm only when life is easy, smooth? Or do you want to maintain your calm even in the most crucial moments, the most challenging times? Because calm is not about being passive, about letting things slide. It is about being in complete control of your emotions, so they don't control your life. And that control, you must earn it yourself, bit by bit, through each moment, through each experience. Let others be loud, be boisterous. You, stay grounded, stay steady. You don't need to prove your power with flamboyant words or attention-grabbing actions. That is the trap most people fall into. They believe that strength must be declared, presence must be announced, and self-worth must be shouted from every rooftop. But real power, my friend, doesn't need a microphone. It doesn't need to perform. It doesn't clamor for the spotlight. Real power is quiet, steady, and certain. You've seen them, haven't you? Those men or women who beat their chests with bravado, who interrupt others to assert dominance, who speak more than they listen. They talk over others, not because they have more to say, but because they fear silence. They fear that if they are silent, they will become faded, weak. But true authority doesn't need to shout. It doesn't flinch in stillness. It commands without demanding, because when you know who you are, you don't need to convince the world. A grounded man, a grounded woman doesn't enter a room trying to impress. They observe, they listen, they study, analyze before they speak. And when they do speak, their words carry a special weight. Not because of volume, but because of the value contained within. People listen, not because they were asked to listen, but because that person gave them a valid reason to listen. Such a person doesn't just enter a room, they change the very energy of it. In heated moments, when tempers rise and voices crackle, the loudest person often loses. He reveals too much, he gets rattled. His emotions spill out, weakening his posture, diminishing his strength. But the grounded man, the grounded woman, they wait. They breathe deeply. They don't react impulsively. They respond purposefully. They watch the fire of others' emotions burn down before they step forward. They don't throw punches of emotion. They strike with clarity, with transparency. Picture this. You are accused of something unfair. All eyes are on you, expecting you to explode or crumble. But instead, you hold the silence. You don't defend yourself with frantic, panicked words. You meet their gaze. You speak one line, one undeniable truth. And suddenly the crowd's attitude shifts, not because you shouted, but precisely because you didn't. That is the power of stillness. It cuts through chaos with astonishing precision. Too often we waste our energy trying to be heard by people who have no intention of listening. We argue with those who have already made up their minds. We try to explain ourselves amidst meaningless noise. But wisdom whispers to us, don't engage with what doesn't serve your purpose. Stay rooted. Stay calm. Stay you. Grounding yourself means letting go of the need to react immediately. It means walking through the world on your terms, not faster than necessary, not louder than required. You walk slower, you speak less, you listen more, and you act only when the moment truly demands it. That's not passivity, that is control. Others will burn themselves out chasing attention. They'll jump at every bait. They'll run from every storm. But not you. You stand firm like a tree, with deep roots, steady branches, unmoved by the wind. And when the dust settles, when the shouting fades, you are still standing. Not because you fought harder, but because you stayed centered, balanced from within. This isn't weakness. This is wisdom. Power is not in proving. It's in knowing. And the man, the woman who knows, does not flinch. They do not chase. They do not need noise to feel significant. Their stillness is the statement. And in a world addicted to attention, that silence becomes the loudest force in the room. Restraint, my friend, is the highest expression of power. You could lash out. You could crush them with a single sentence. You could expose their weakness, embarrass them in front of the room, and walk away with the crowd on your side. But you don't. Not because you're incapable, but because you choose not to. And that choice, that restraint, is not weakness. It's mastery. It's the final and highest form of strength. Most men and women, too, often confuse power with action. They think strength means reacting fast, striking first, proving a point at every turn. But the truth, power without control is chaos. The man who throws every punch, answers every insult, and reacts to every offense isn't powerful. He's enslaved by his emotions. The real warrior, the real leader, is the one who knows he can but decides not to. Not out of fear, but out of vision, out of a clear understanding of what's worth it and what's not. The higher you aim, the more you must protect your energy. Every fight has a cost. Every confrontation has a price. And the wise person counts the cost before swinging the sword. They don't spend their strength proving things to people who don't matter. They don't fight to be right. They rise to lead. The fool? He uses every tool in every fight. He throws his full weight behind every opinion. He wants to win now, even if it costs him everything later. But the wise person? They hold back. They understand that not every moment needs their full force. They know the difference between being provoked and being called, and they save their strength for what truly matters. Imagine you're in a debate. You make a strong point, a convincing one. But someone throws a cheap shot, personal, petty, meant to shake you. You know the perfect reply, one sentence, and they'd be done. But instead you smile. You breathe. You let the silence speak. Because you're not here to destroy. You're here to build. And the room? They remember your grace, not their insult. That's restraint, and that's unforgettable. Have you ever won an argument but lost a relationship? Ever said something in anger that echoed back as regret? Words that linger in your mind like a persistent ache? Power misused wounds both sides. But when you pause, when you check yourself before you check someone else, you give yourself a chance to lead with intention, not just instinct. That moment of pause, that's your greatest weapon. Ask yourself, does this serve me? Not your ego. You, your mission, your future. If the answer is no, let it go. Hold your position, not your tongue, because sometimes silence can carry more authority than 1,000 clever replies. Restraint is not about shrinking. It's not passivity. It's certainly not weakness. It's a decision. It's the sharpest form of discipline. It says, I could dominate this moment, but I don't need to. It puts you in control of your emotion, your focus, your impact. And that kind of control, that's what makes a man, a woman, unshakable. Look around. The world often rewards reaction. Outrage gets clicks. Drama draws attention. But attention fades. Legacy lasts. And legacy is built by those who resist the bait, who preserve their strength, and who never lower themselves for temporary wins. When you master restraint, you gain a new kind of freedom. You stop explaining yourself to everyone. You stop reacting to every noise. You stop trying to prove that you're powerful because you know you are. And that knowing, it liberates you. You become the person who speaks only when necessary, who moves only with intention, who lets others exhaust themselves in the arena of ego while you build empires in silence. And when you finally speak, it matters. When you act, it lands. When you lead, people follow, not out of fear but out of respect. So next time someone tests you, tempts you, tries to drag you into their chaos, pause, ask yourself, is this worthy of me? And if it's not, walk on. Because the strongest move isn't always to strike. Sometimes the strongest move is to stay still, to hold your fire, to walk away undefeated. And that's not weakness. That's restraint. That's power at its peak. Speak like a surgeon, not a swordsman. Words are not toys. They are not ornaments for your ego, nor casual sound bites to fill silence. Words are tools. They are hammers and scalpels. They can cut and they can heal. They can build and they can destroy. And how you use them, carelessly or precisely, reveals the depth of your discipline. Most men and women too swing their words like swords, reckless, emotional, loud. They speak to dominate, to impress, to win the moment. But you? You must speak like a surgeon, with precision, with purpose, with care. Because one sentence can shift the course of a conversation, a relationship, or even a life. One careless phrase can leave a scar that no apology can erase. When you recognize that every word carries weight, you begin to choose them with intention. You don't waste breath trying to be clever. You don't reach for drama. You speak when it serves your purpose, not your pride, but your mission. You speak not to be right, but to be effective. In high-stress situations, most people do the opposite. They raise their voices, hoping louder means stronger. They speak with sharpness, hoping their edge will be taken as leadership. But volume isn't command, emotion isn't direction, and noise only creates more noise. You must do what few can. Lower your voice, slow your speech. Create space between your sentences. Let your calm become the loudest voice in the room. Picture this. A team is panicking after a major failure. Accusations fly. Voices escalate. Fear spreads like fire. In the middle of it, you raise one hand, not with force, but with composure. You speak in a low, steady tone. You don't add to the heat. You cut through it. You state the facts. You offer a plan. You remind them of what matters. And slowly the room changes. Not because you shouted, but because you anchored. That's leadership. Have you ever walked away from a conversation knowing you were right, but wishing you'd said less, or said it better? Have you ever delivered the perfect comeback, only to feel empty afterward? That's because the purpose of speech isn't just to win, it's to move things forward. When you speak from ego, you may win the moment, but you lose respect, trust, momentum. The person of strength sharpens their tongue not for show, but for service. They trim the fat from their sentences. They don't dump emotion into their words. They distill clarity from thought. Before they speak, they write. Before they write, they think. Before they think, they listen. That is how precision is born, not from impulse, but from inner stillness. Begin this practice today. Before speaking, ask, what do I want my words to do? Do I want to heal or harm? To direct or distract? To build or burn? And if you cannot answer clearly, don't speak yet. Wait, clarify. Cut the excess, because less said with power is worth more than much said in haste. In meetings, don't compete for airtime. In conflict, don't compete for dominance. Speak so that your words move people, not away from you, but towards something better. Let your tone carry steadiness, not tension. Let your language lift the room, not weigh it down. You are not here to entertain. You are here to guide. And in times of chaos, the one who speaks with calm clarity becomes the true commander. Not because of rank, but because of presence. The person who speaks last, who speaks least, who speaks only when necessary, they become the one others follow. So don't be the person who must be heard. Be the person whose silence makes others want to hear them. Don't be the one who floods the room with noise. Be the one whose single sentence shifts the direction of the entire ship. Words are not toys, they are tools. Use them like a master craftsman, with clarity, with discipline, and with reverence. And you'll find that people remember not just what you said, but how you made them feel when you said it. Patience, my friend, isn't just waiting. It's enduring with purpose. You've been told that patience is passive, that it's doing nothing, that it's weakness in disguise. But the truth is far more powerful and far more demanding. Patience is not inaction, it is endurance with direction. It is the quiet strength to stand your ground even when everything around you screams, rush, react, retaliate. Real patience is not for the lazy, it is for the disciplined. It's the calm in your chest while the storm rages outside. It's the decision to wait with purpose rather than act from desperation. Others may mock your stillness, thinking you've stalled, but you know better. You're not doing nothing. You're preparing, you're sharpening, you're becoming unshakable. While others panic, rant, and ruin their own chances by trying to force outcomes, you step back. You observe. You build in silence. You wait, not because you lack the strength to act, but because you've learned the wisdom of timing. You don't jump at the first chance, you prepare for the right one. The world glorifies speed. It applauds the person who moves fast, who speaks first, who strikes quickly. But behind every great achievement is the person who learned restraint, the person who didn't strike too soon, who didn't let pride or fear dictate their timing. The world may admire the impulsive, but it follows the deliberate, the one who sees beyond the moment. Imagine standing in line for an opportunity you've earned. You've worked for it, you've waited for it. But others cut ahead. Your pride burns, your ego demands retaliation. But you don't explode. You don't fight for scraps. You stand tall, you breathe, you trust your preparation. And when your turn finally comes, you're ready in a way no one else is. Not because you rushed, but because you refused to be rushed. Think of the moments in your life where impatience cost you something real. A project rushed to completion that crumbled. A relationship pushed too hard, too soon. A decision made in urgency that you still regret. How many of your detours were self-inflicted, born not from lack of talent, but lack of patience? Now, imagine if you'd waited, sat with the tension, held the silence, trusted the pace. How different would things be? This is what real patience demands. The ability to sit inside the delay without bitterness, to hold space between desire and fulfillment, and not fill it with noise or drama, to trust that preparation is progress even when there's nothing to show for it yet. Because the delay is not empty, it is working on you, shaping you. Patience is where your character is built. It teaches you how to lead yourself before you lead others. It tempers your emotions. It strengthens your mind. It matures your vision. It shows you the difference between what you want now and what you're truly meant for. Start practicing daily patience. Delay small gratifications. Let the moment pass without needing to insert your opinion. Listen longer than you're comfortable. Resist the itch to prove your point. Let someone else take the spotlight. Watch how your strength grows, not in noise, but in restraint. You become a master of patience by enduring small tests, waiting in traffic without cursing, holding your tongue in arguments, taking a breath before answering, letting a goal simmer until it's fully cooked, not half-baked from haste. And over time, that quiet self-control becomes something others feel. They begin to trust your timing. They rely on your steadiness. You become the one they turn to, not because you rush, but because you know when to move. Patience doesn't mean doing less. It means doing what matters when it matters most. It is the ability to stand firm with a vision too strong to be shaken by time. And that's what sets you apart, because while the world spins in chaos, you remain calm. You don't chase, you prepare. You don't flinch, you focus. And when your moment comes, it doesn't catch you off guard. It finds you ready. Every outburst costs you more than you think. Every time you lose your temper, you lose something else with it. Respect, clarity, opportunity. That's the truth most people don't want to admit. Anger feels like power in the moment. It feels like control, like you're taking a stand, making yourself known, refusing to be disrespected. But behind that heat lies a deep cost. And when the fire dies down, you're often left sifting through the ashes of trust, of influence, of progress. Anger has a price, and more often than not, the price is greater than the offense that triggered it. You may feel justified. You may believe you had no choice, that they needed to hear it, that someone had to say something. But when the dust settles, it's not the outburst you remember. It's the damage. Words said in rage don't dissolve in the air. They leave marks. They create walls, and sometimes those walls take years to break down. Your energy is your currency. Every decision you make, every problem you solve, every plan you execute demands focus. But when you waste that energy on outrage, on proving your emotion instead of pursuing your mission, you rob yourself. You give away your direction. You trade long-term vision for short-term validation, and that's a poor deal every time. Picture this. You're running a business. A worker under-delivers or makes a costly error. Your first instinct? Slam the table, raise your voice, assert dominance. And in that second, yes, you feel powerful. You feel like you've re-established control. But step back. What really happened? The room goes silent, not out of focus, but fear. The worker stops thinking creatively and starts thinking defensively. They don't want to improve. They want to avoid you. Trust evaporates, communication tightens, innovation dies, and all for what? A few seconds of release? The illusion of control? Now imagine a different response. You pause. You breathe. You call the person aside. You speak low but firm. You ask what happened. You listen. You redirect. You hold them accountable, but with respect. And now the worker learns. The room breathes. And most importantly, you lead, not from emotion, but from wisdom. Anger isn't the enemy. Uncontrolled anger is. There are moments where righteous anger is appropriate, when injustice must be addressed, when boundaries must be set. But even then, the strongest expression is measured, not manic. Anger that serves a higher purpose is still held on a leash. Have you ever won an argument but felt emptier afterward? Have you ever said the thing that got you the final word, only to lose the relationship, the trust, the collaboration? That's the trade rage demands. It gives you victory in the moment and takes from you everything that lasts. And so you must make a habit. Notice the heat rising. Notice the urge to lash out, to punish, to correct with emotion. That's your signal. That's your moment of choice. Delay it. Don't suppress it. Redirect it. Go journal. Go walk. Go breathe. But do not pour that chaos into the room. Do not hand your power to the wind. Every time you stay calm, you build power. You deepen your command. You train your mind to lead, not just your team, but yourself. Self-mastery begins with emotional discipline. A person who cannot control their tongue will always be controlled by their circumstances. And here's something else. People watch how you handle anger, not just your enemies, but your friends, your family, your team. When they see you stay centered when others would collapse, they trust you, they follow you. Because calm under fire is rare, and it is magnetic. This doesn't mean you allow disrespect. It doesn't mean you shrink back from confrontation. It means you choose when and how to confront. You don't explode, you direct. You don't react, you respond. That difference defines leadership. Look around at the men and women who inspire you, not the loudest, not the ones with the sharpest comebacks, but the ones who move with presence, the ones whose silence speaks, the ones who lead even in tension, not by dominating the moment, but by commanding themselves. That's who you must become, and you start by mastering your anger. So the next time you feel it build, pause. Ask yourself, is this worth the cost? What am I trading for this moment of fire? And if the answer isn't clear, then the answer is no. Let the moment pass. Reclaim your clarity. Preserve your power. Because the strongest person in the room is not the loudest. It's the one who can choose peace even when war is on the table. Choose wisely. Inner stillness is your greatest defense. You can't control what others do. You can't control what they say, how they judge you, or how they twist your intentions. But what you can control, what you must learn to command, is how deeply those things enter you. That space between the world's noise and your response, that's your power, that's your fortress. And that control is called inner stillness. Inner stillness is not passivity. It's not weakness or emotional suppression. It's a shield. It's the fortress no insult can breach, the sanctuary no storm can flood. While the world spins, while tempers rise and voices shout, you remain composed. Not because the world is gentle, but because you've built a stronger center. Most people waste their lives trying to silence the world. They beg people to behave better. They chase environments with no conflict. They tell others to speak softer, to be kinder, to respect more. And when that doesn't work, and it rarely does, they feel like victims. But the master does something different. They stop trying to change what's outside. They focus inward. They build a stillness that does not depend on silence. They stop waiting for peace and start bringing it with them. Stillness is built where no one sees. In early mornings when the world is still asleep, in long, slow breaths before the first move of the day, in the quiet question asked in solitude, "Who am I becoming?" The answer doesn't scream, it doesn't rush. It simply arrives with a clarity that only silence can deliver. It tells you, you are not your reaction, you are your response. You are not the chaos around you, you are the calm within you. Picture a sailor. In the middle of a violent sea, waves tower, winds roar, lightning cuts the sky. The ship creaks, but beneath the surface, beneath the rage and churn, the deep ocean is still, immovable, unaffected. That's you. You live on the surface with the rest of the world. You see the chaos. You feel the wind, but within, you are ocean floor calm, rooted, unshakable. Now ask yourself, when was the last time someone's words followed you home, replayed in your head long after the moment passed? Was it what they said that hurt, or was it that you gave their words a home? Did you hand them the keys to your peace? Inner stillness is reclaiming those keys. It's saying, your voice is loud, but it does not control my mind. Your tone is sharp, but it does not pierce my worth. You may rage, but I do not have to rage with you. This kind of stillness doesn't arrive all at once. It is practiced, moment by moment, day by day. It starts with observing, not reacting. It starts with breathing, not blaming. When chaos rises, stillness doesn't mean you shut down. It means you open up, but only to what serves your clarity. You let others shout, you nod. You let others panic, you plan. That's not detachment, that's command. In meetings, when tension builds, stay still. When criticism comes, stay still. When provoked, stay still. Not as a performance, but as a discipline. Because the person who cannot sit with stillness will always be owned by the noise around them. Stillness becomes strength when it becomes natural. When it's no longer something you try to remember, but something you are. When it follows you into every room, every conversation, every challenge. You walk into fire and don't burn, not because the fire is gone, but because you carry water within. And here's the deeper truth. Inner stillness attracts. People feel it, they trust it, they lean into it. The man, the woman who doesn't flinch, who doesn't snap, who listens with presence and speaks with clarity. That person commands rooms without raising their voice. They become the anchor in storms, the calm in conflict, not by controlling others, but by controlling themselves. But it's not easy. There will be days when you're tempted to match the volume, to defend yourself, to lash back, to react. And in those moments, you must remind yourself, you lose nothing by staying still, but you lose everything by losing yourself. So begin your training now. Don't wait for the next crisis. Start in the quiet. Practice presence in daily life. Hear the noise, but don't inhale it. See the madness, but don't wear it. Choose your inner world with more care than your outer wardrobe. Guard it, refine it, build it, brick by quiet brick. Because the world will always rage. That's its nature. But the person who masters inner stillness, they don't run from the storm. They walk through it, calm, clear, whole, and nothing can touch them. You are the mirror, not the fire. When people bring conflict, they expect you to match their fire. They want your reaction. They want to see you flinch, snap, bark back. It gives them fuel. It validates their chaos. It pulls you down into their level where emotion overrules reason, where noise drowns out truth. But you don't give it. You reflect, not ignite. You stay still while they storm. You observe while they unravel. You respond, not to defend yourself, but to protect your focus, because your energy is too valuable to be spent on someone else's lack of self-control. You've seen it happen. A person enters a room already fuming. Their words are sharp, their tone is bait. They want a target, a fight, a release. But if no one bites, if no one meets them at that level, the fire fizzles. They burn alone. That's the secret. Fire dies without fuel. And when you refuse to feed it, you win without shouting. You become the mirror, calm, reflective, unshakable. You don't meet anger with anger. You hold up a clear image of what it looks like. And that mirror? It's more powerful than any retaliation because it forces people to see themselves, their rage, their insecurity, their lack of control. And most people, when faced with that kind of truth, will do one of two things: quiet down or walk away. But don't mistake this for weakness. This is not silence rooted in fear. It's silence rooted in strength. You're not avoiding confrontation. You're owning it. You're just choosing the battlefield. You're not letting others walk over you. You're choosing not to fight on their terms because you realize power without direction is destruction. And you're here to build, not burn. You fight with clarity, not chaos, with vision, not vengeance, with control, not confusion. Your calm isn't indifference, it's command. The person who can stand in the middle of flames without becoming part of them, they become trusted, followed, respected. Picture yourself in a public place. Someone loses control. They shout, they accuse. All eyes turn to you. But instead of matching the volume, you listen, you breathe, you speak slowly, directly, truthfully. You correct, not with venom, but with precision. And suddenly, the crowd doesn't remember what was said. They remember how you stood, how you didn't flinch, how you didn't fall into the trap of reaction. That's the power of being the mirror. Because in a world that rewards loudness, stillness becomes legendary. Ask yourself, do you want to be feared or respected? Do you want to burn hot and fast or stand strong and last? Anger may intimidate, but it never inspires. Rage may shake a room, but it never builds one. And if you want to lead, to influence, to create lasting impact, then fire won't take you there. Light will, calm will, discipline will. The mirror is neutral, but it is never powerless. It doesn't attack, it doesn't argue, it simply shows. It reveals what's real, and people will either rise when they see themselves in it or run. That's not your concern. You don't control others' reactions. You only control your presence. Train yourself to respond with questions, not accusations. Questions bring clarity. Accusations bring defense. When someone lashes out, instead of barking back, ask, "What exactly do you want me to understand?" When tension rises, breathe deeper, slow down, let your posture speak louder than your voice. Stand tall, shoulders back, eyes steady. No fidgeting, no retreat, just stillness with purpose. And if the moment demands words, speak with economy. Don't dump emotion into the room. Deliver insight, because when your words are rare, calm, and clear, they land. People listen, not because you forced them to, but because you earned it. Let others play in the flames of ego, pride, and noise. Let them compete to be heard. But you build light, light that reveals, that warms, that guides. You're not here to win battles that don't matter. You're here to master yourself so you can master every room you walk into. There will always be those who try to rattle you, who throw chaos like darts, hoping to provoke a reaction. But if you want to lead, if you want to rise, you must learn this truth. You don't need to match heat to stay powerful. You need only to stand, calm, present, reflective, and in time, they will either quiet down or you'll outlast them. Be the mirror. Be the stillness. Be the master of light. Calm is the signature of a disciplined life. Your calm isn't random. It doesn't appear out of thin air. It's not a lucky trait or a genetic gift. Your calm is earned. It's the quiet reward of choices made in solitude, the byproduct of habits that most overlook. It is the signature of a life lived with discipline, order, and intentionality. You don't achieve calm by accident. You achieve calm because you have already fought the war inside yourself, because your mind is not cluttered, your heart is not scattered, your life is not reactive. You wake with a plan, not a panic. You've already made your decisions before the chaos knocks on your door. The person who lacks discipline, they don't stand a chance. They eat whatever dulls their pain. They scroll through noise instead of sitting with thought. They sleep late and rush through their mornings. And then they wonder why their mood is unpredictable, why they're short-tempered, why every small inconvenience turns into a crisis. It's not the world's fault. It's the absence of structure that weakens them. But you've trained. You rise early, not because it's trendy, but because you understand that calm is born before the world wakes up. You read, not to impress, but to strengthen your thinking. You exercise, not just for the body, but for mental command. You write, you reflect. You set your intentions like an archer drawing his bow. You decide who you'll be that day before the noise of others decides for you. So when the storm comes, and it always does, you are already ready. You've already met yourself in the quiet. You've already aligned your thoughts. You're not reaching for discipline in crisis. You've carried it with you into the crisis. Picture this clearly. One person wakes at dawn. They sit in silence for a few moments, read something ancient, timeless, or wise, plan their day, move their body, eat slowly, speak little. Then walk into the world, not rushed, not reactive, but grounded. Now picture another. They snooze their alarm 3 times, jump out of bed, check their phone before they breathe, skip breakfast, skip intention, and rush into traffic, into conversations, into decisions they're not prepared to make. Now ask yourself, which one would you trust in a crisis? Who would you follow when the pressure is high? Who would you look to when the team is unraveling, the tension is thick, and the room needs a leader? This is the difference between a life of reaction and a life of design. One is always catching up, the other is always in position, and calm belongs to the person who lives in position. The truth is, calm is not found. It is built, brick by brick, habit by habit, hour by hour. There are no shortcuts. There's no app to download, no podcast to play that will implant it into you. Calm is constructed in repetition, through hundreds of quiet mornings, through thousands of small decisions, through choosing what strengthens over what sedates. And here's the secret most don't want to hear. If your outer world is always on fire, look to your inner structure. Look at your habits, look at your mornings, look at your thoughts. Chaos on the outside often reveals disorder on the inside. Calm people don't control the world, they organize themselves. So ask yourself honestly, have I been living in reaction or in design? Am I responding to life with clarity or reacting out of fatigue, fear, and frustration? Because calm isn't what you do in the moment, it's what you've built before the moment. If you want to be calm no matter who you're dealing with, then build a life that demands it, that requires stillness, that's anchored in something greater than emotion. Rise early, not to impress, but to align. Eat with care. Move your body with purpose. Reflect before reacting. Schedule your days like a craftsman building something sacred. Prepare your mind like a warrior sharpens his blade, not because a battle is guaranteed, but because he refuses to be unready. Live in structure so that chaos never surprises you. Be so consistent in your foundation that when others panic, you remain composed, not out of arrogance, but because your roots run deep. And when others wonder how you stay so calm, so grounded, so unshakable, you'll know the answer. It wasn't a single quote. It wasn't a motivational video. It was the life you built when no one was watching, the habits you honored when it was easier not to. The mornings you rose while others slept, the moments of discipline that quietly sculpted your strength. So live it, not once in a while, not when convenient, every day, without excuse, without waiting for the perfect time, because the storm is coming. And when it does, the person who built themselves in silence will be the one who leads in the noise. Control your face. It's the front door to your mind. Before you utter a single word, your face has already spoken volumes. In those first crucial seconds of any encounter, your expression broadcasts your inner state to everyone watching. The slight tension around your eyes reveals anxiety you thought you'd hidden. The tightness in your jaw exposes irritation you believed was under control. The world reads you like an open book and judges accordingly. This is why mastering your expression becomes essential for anyone seeking true influence. Your face serves as the first line of communication, setting the tone for every interaction that follows. When you fail to govern this silent language, you surrender control before the conversation even begins. Consider the power dynamics at play. Walk into any boardroom, family gathering, or social situation, and observe how quickly people assess newcomers. Their eyes dart across faces, searching for telltale signs of confidence or insecurity, strength or weakness. Within moments, they've formed opinions that may take hours to change, if they can be changed at all. The untrained person becomes a victim of their own transparency. Their face betrays every emotional fluctuation, every moment of doubt, every flash of anger. They wear their hearts on their sleeves and wonder why others seem to hold all the cards in negotiations, relationships, and leadership scenarios. But the person who has learned to command their expression operates from an entirely different position. When confronted with challenging news, they maintain composure. Their breathing remains steady. Their gaze stays level. Their mouth neither tightens nor trembles. Those watching see someone unshakable, a person who cannot be easily rattled or manipulated. This composure isn't about deception or emotional suppression. Rather, it represents the highest form of self-governance. You acknowledge your feelings without allowing them to dictate your presentation to the world. You experience the full range of human emotion while choosing how much of that experience to share through your expression. The practical benefits extend far beyond mere appearances. When you maintain a calm countenance during crisis, others instinctively look to you for guidance. Your steady presence becomes an anchor in turbulent situations. People gravitate toward those who appear unshaken because such individuals suggest safety and competence. Training begins with simple awareness. Start by observing your face throughout the day. Notice when your expression shifts with your emotions. Catch yourself mid-furrow or mid-scowl. Practice relaxing your facial muscles consciously. Stand before a mirror and rehearse maintaining neutrality while imagining provocative scenarios. Pay particular attention to your eyes. They often betray what your mouth conceals. Train them to remain soft yet focused, avoiding the darting glances that signal nervousness or the hardened stare that suggests aggression. Your mouth should rest naturally, neither pursed with disapproval nor tight with tension. This discipline transforms how others perceive and interact with you. Colleagues begin treating you as someone who can handle pressure. Friends confide in you more readily. Strangers approach with respect rather than testing your boundaries. Your face becomes your most reliable tool, not for hiding who you are, but for choosing how and when to reveal yourself. In mastering this silent signal, you claim authority over your own narrative and step into the quiet confidence that changes everything. Don't match energy, set the tone. Society conditions you to be a mirror. When someone raises their voice, you raise yours higher. When aggression meets you at the door, you answer with equal force. When mockery comes your way, you return it with interest. This reflexive matching feels natural, even justified. But every time you mirror another's energy, you surrender your autonomy and become their emotional puppet. The path to true influence lies in the opposite direction. Instead of reflecting what others bring to you, you must learn to direct what fills the space around you. You become the source, not the echo. You set the emotional temperature rather than simply registering it. This shift transforms every interaction. Walk into a room carrying your own energy rather than waiting to absorb what's already there. When chaos enters your presence, you don't join it. You contain it. When panic seeks to spread, you become the steady center that calms the storm. This isn't passive resistance. It's active leadership of the emotional environment. Consider the profound difference in approach. The reactive person enters each situation as a blank slate, ready to be written upon by whatever energy dominates. They become angry in angry rooms, anxious around anxious people, defeated in defeated spaces. They mistake this adaptability for social skill, never realizing they've abandoned their core self in the process. The person who leads energy operates from an entirely different foundation. They know who they are before they enter any room. Their emotional state isn't up for negotiation. They carry their own weather system and share it generously with everyone they encounter. Watch this principle in action during high-stakes moments. In heated negotiations, while others escalate their intensity, the energy leader remains deliberately calm. They speak more slowly as others speak faster. They lean back as others lean forward. Their composure becomes magnetic, drawing the room toward stability rather than chaos. The same dynamic applies in personal relationships. When someone approaches you with frantic energy, seeking to transfer their anxiety, you have a choice. You can absorb their state and become equally frantic, or you can offer them the gift of your groundedness. Your calm presence becomes an invitation for them to find their own center. This skill requires constant vigilance and practice. Notice when you begin mirroring someone else's emotional state. Catch yourself in the moment when their anger starts becoming your anger, their worry starts becoming your worry. Step back, breathe. Remember who you are when no one else is influencing you. The benefits extend far beyond individual interactions. Teams look to energy leaders during crises. Families rely on them during turbulent times. Organizations promote them because they bring stability to unstable situations. These individuals become invaluable, not because they're the loudest or most aggressive, but because they're the most consistent. Your emotional state becomes your greatest asset when you learn to govern it independently. You stop being a thermometer that simply registers the temperature of your environment and become the thermostat that actually controls it. You discover that presence isn't about forcing others to change. It's about remaining so firmly rooted in your own center that others naturally gravitate toward the stability you represent. In mastering this principle, you claim your place as an architect of atmosphere rather than a victim of circumstance. Fade out gradually. You see, the power of stillness is not something distant or reserved only for sages. It is right here, latent within each of us, waiting to be awakened, nurtured, and used with intention. When you learn to master your mind, master your emotions, you not only find peace for yourself, but you also radiate that peace to those around you. You become a lighthouse, steadfast amidst a turbulent sea, guiding ships seeking a safe harbor. The night is late now. Let these words sink deep into your mind, like seeds of peace sown into the soil of your soul. Take a deep breath. Feel the lightness spreading throughout your body. Release all tension, all anxiety. Let stillness envelop you. And as you drift into sleep, carry with you the image of a steadfast, calm individual, a person who masters their inner world, and from there, masters their life. When you awaken tomorrow morning, you will feel more refreshed, stronger, and more ready to face whatever life brings, with a mindset of peace and self-possession. Sleep well, and may your dreams be beautiful. Stillness is always with you.